Hi there, I'm Royal Sealy, aka Mignonette, and today I'm going to introduce you to my cat. So, my cat's name is an 11-year-old kitty cat, Brown Tabby, and we adopted her as a senior cat. She used to be a stray cat, but she was picked up off the street by a local adoption agency, and the city that we used to live in had a cat cafe that the shelter would run through. So we did adopt her as a senior kitty cat. I think she was 7 or so when we got her. That's of course an estimate because they don't really know how old she is. But she's been such a delight, and she is my first cat ever. Because of that, she's pretty spoiled, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Because of that, she is pretty spoiled. She gets a lot of wet food throughout the day. Obviously, I do the appropriate amount. I calculate what is a good amount for someone that is her size. She gets wet food during the day and then kibble at night. The vet says the kibble acts as a natural way for the cats to brush their teeth because if they have a lot of wet and soft foods, stuff could get stuck in their teeth. She's a pretty polite cat as well. When we first got her, she wasn't comfortable jumping up anywhere. So she would just sit on the floor a lot and just stare at us. So what we did is we would pick her up and put her on places, and it seemed like once we did that, she knew that was an okay place to be. So she really doesn't go anywhere unless we've put her on that object before. As with all kitties, she loves to be brushed, especially on her cheeks and her forehead where the scent glands are. She can go kind of hog wild, so we don't allow her to do it her own without supervision. I wanted to do this video because since we did get her at a later age, with cats they can really be a wild card. Some of them live well into their 20s while others live a shorter time or a longer time. It's all kind of a gamble. And since she was a street cat, we don't really know her genetics or anything like that, so it's one of those things where we're living each day at a time. I will say she's extremely energetic for a senior cat. She plays for at least 20 to 40 minutes a day. And for that, we just use one of those cardboard cat dancers. Another thing we do for mental stimulation is when looking for apartments, we made sure we had a place where we'd be able to put a bird feeder or two. And this was not only for my own enjoyment, but for her own entertainment as well. She's an indoor cat for her own safety as well as the safety of the local wildlife. Cats, unfortunately, are invasive and expert predators when it comes to things like lizards or birds, depending on where you're at. Sometimes both, depending on where you're at. So what we do instead is we've set up a bird feeder outside of a large window. That way she is able to watch the wildlife come and go at a safe distance, and she gets a real kick out of it. If you didn't know this, cats also have a thing called chirping, and it doesn't sound like traditional chirping. It's a really interesting sound, and I recommend looking it up if you can. This has also allowed me to see a lot of our local bird population, and I was surprised to see that we had several species of woodpeckers and that we had a family of mourning doves living in the tree next to where we're at. We've seen other pretty cool ones as well, such as cardinals, blue jays, nuthatches, a lot of really cool looking birds. So if you have the space for a bird feeder, I highly recommend. This does also mean that we get squirrels, but she seems to enjoy their presence as well, so I don't really mind. Plus, squirrels are comedy in their own way. Some of them will do acrobatics in order to get the food. So back to my beautiful cat. She is a medium hair cat, which is something I didn't know existed before her. I thought they came in two varieties, short or long hair. And she's legitimately a medium cat in terms of her hair length. We found out recently that she has 1.5 coats. And I think it's more apparent the closer you look, because if you're really up next to her fur, she has two layers. One is short and one is that medium length. She has a very fluffy chest and rest of her body, which requires us to brush her pretty often, but she enjoys it, so I enjoy it as well. Now, when it comes to my baby cat and Lolita fashion, there is all of the wonderful art and pictures of cats enjoying the petticoat, and she's no exception to the petticoat. And I think the initial allure of it has since worn off. If it's on the floor, she's not as, I guess, enticed as she was early in. But she does seem to enjoy the cotton or more natural fiber feeling dresses. So if I sit down while I'm getting ready and say I'm wearing Country of Sweets, she loves to just sit on it. There's something about the texture she really likes. Now, when it comes to my chiffon pieces and the polyester pieces, I'm not as likely to let her enjoy for too long, just because she does have claws. So if it gets caught or snagged onto the chiffon, that can cause a run, which is more difficult to fix than if it were a natural fiber. Other textures that she enjoys are things like cardboard and unfortunately plastic. So if you purchase a lot of Lolita online, secondhand or otherwise, the bubble wraps and the things that get wrapped up, the packages, I have to be very mindful, because if you were not aware, cats can actually get acne if they sit on plastic. Bless you. So for that, I don't really let her enjoy plastic just because it's not good for her. But we do have a couple of cardboard things that we'll leave around, like cardboard scratch boards. If we get a nice box, then sometimes we'll give her a couple days in it, at least until that initial excitement wears off. She also looks a little silly right now with her tail, because she had a medical procedure that required her tail to be shaven to get her blood pressure. So a little embarrassing for her, but it's growing back good, which is what's important. So my guest has since wandered off for a snack break, but I just wanted to thank you for coming along and allowing me to introduce you to my cat. She brings a lot of light and joy into my life, and as I said before, since we adopted her as a senior cat already, it is really nice to be able to give her a lot of enjoyment, as I have to imagine the streets are not a very comfortable place for a cat to live, especially since we lived in the city. Yeah, I would highly recommend, if you are thinking of getting a cat, looking into a senior cat, because unlike kittens, usually they have a little less energy, as well as their personality being more on display. Whereas kittens, they grow a lot, so what you see initially may not be what you get in terms of personality. That's not to say kittens aren't great as well, but usually in shelters, kittens are the first to go, but adult cats tend to be the ones left behind. And if you're talking financially, they're usually cheaper to adopt, at least in the area I'm in. So thank you again for getting to meet my cat. I hope to be doing some more videos soon. I wanted to take this moment as well to share that I'll be doing a lot of traveling, or at least I plan to. I'm super excited to share that in about 3 or 4 weeks. I'll be heading to a convention that is in the North American region and known for its J fashion content. And even more excitingly, Metamorphose Temps Few, my favorite Lolita brand, will be there as guests. And I couldn't be more excited. I plan to do a couple videos perhaps on the planning process, whether it be coordinates or packing and so on, just because this is a pretty big deal for me. And I'm super excited for anything that may come. It's also going to be my biggest road trip as an adult, so very excited to finally have this part checked off. I think it only gets more difficult to travel, especially depending on um, different situations. I think it's one of those things where travel tends to be more difficult the busier one's life gets, as well as being more of a cost to do these days compared to maybe like 10, 20, 30 years ago. So I'm really excited to finally have what I consider to be a big road trip checked off. I feel like that's an experience I've never had before. All right, thank you for watching and stay tuned. Hope to see you soon. If you want to see more of my stuff, you can find me on Tumblr more so, Instagram sometimes, and technically LiveJournal and Lemonade. I am toying around with doing a NeoCities and a Dreamwith, but that might take a little bit more time, especially for NeoCities, as it's been a while since I've actually coded a website. I think I was a kid on Neopets the last time that I worked with HTML. So it's been a learning process. Yeah, links are in the description. And do you have any fun travel plans? Anything you're looking forward to this summer, or if you're in the southern hemisphere this winter? I would love to know. Also, if you have any pets, I would love to know. Once again, I'm Royal Seeley, aka Minionette, and thanks for watching.